Mute the phones. Do not disturb.
One quick second, I'm waiting on something.
Cool.
Have you guys heard the Corn song?
What?
I'm afraid to.
Is that why you did a Corn guy on the overlay, Wes?
I just chose a random minifig that I thought was funny looking.
Do you guys remember Shmo Yoho? Did you ever watch Shmo Yoho back in the day?
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
So Shmo Yoho was this channel that like took news clips and stuff like that and auto-tuned them to make music. Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husbands. But they were super popular, like, oh man, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. Insanely popular. And it kind of lost in the ether. They've had a resurgence because there's a video that they put out called The Corn Song, which is this guy that went out and interviewed these kids about corn. And this kid's like, look at it. It's the most beautiful thing. It's corn. And they made a song out of it. Everybody in my kid's school is singing it.
Is that where the "it's the most beautiful thing" phrase comes from?
Yeah. Look at this thing. It's like the most beautiful thing.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what that came from. Okay. Yeah.
I'm wondering how influential that the TikTok audio had on the song being popular, and now my kids singing it constantly. We get in the car, can we play the Corn song? I was like, that is not music for you at this age. I'm sorry. But then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, not that corn. The other corn. Okay, we're good.
We can ask for like the Jiggle Jiggle song from TikTok.
Oh yeah. See, that's my kids. Like they pick up this stuff from school because like they don't have phones. They don't consume social media. But they'll come home and they'll sing songs that I heard on TikTok, and I was like, where did you hear that? Oh, school. Okay.
Yep. I think I'm ready when you guys are.
I believe I'm ready.
All right. What's up, Internet? You are listening to the Making Geeks podcast for makers, families, and geeks. Hey, happy Thursday.
There's a ton of noise. Somebody was messing with something on their desks.
Oh.
There's like
I didn't hear anything.
There's like lots of like rumbling during that whole sequence.
That's weird. Okay, I'll do it again. What's up, Internet? You are listening to the Making Geeks podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks. Happy Thursday, gentlemen.
Yeah, you too, man. What's going on?
Happy Thursday.
This week has gone by fast. It feels like it has, at least.
Yeah, it definitely has.
I don't quite have that Groundhog Day feeling, but every now and then in the morning, because I have pretty much the same exact routine every morning, I kind of forget, what day it is and kind of lose sense of time, and yeah.
Yes. Definitely.
This morning felt that way.
You guys,
so what's been up this week? Same thing. Yeah.
Let's see. Myself, I went to a 3D printing conference called EARF with Turi from When Geeks Craft. We drove up there late Friday. Got up there probably 30 minutes before midnight. It was a late drive. haven't driven that long at night in a long time. And like a lot of the experiences I had this weekend are like solidifying my disbelief that I'm as old as I am. Like making emissions like this. Like, I don't remember the last time I drove this long at night. And then I was like looking forward to eating yogurt as a snack at one point this weekend. Like, what the hell is going on? And then I had like a sensible dinner out with him. Like Saturday night, went to a seafood restaurant, and I had like blackened salmon with a small baked potato and steamed vegetables. Like, what the hell? Like, someone come slap me. But it was really good. But it's not something I would have chosen.
You actually paid money in the restaurant for that?
I did. And there were several other realizations that I had over the weekend. But overall, it was really good. We saw lots of cool things. It opened up Saturday morning there in just kind of northeast of Baltimore. And there were a handful of YouTube folks out there. Joel Telling was out there. Some other 3D printing people. I think Uncle Jesse made it out Sunday. I didn't see him, but he apparently was there somewhere. Had a lot of cool, interesting 3D printing related things. They had a chocolate printer, which they had a couple years ago as well, but it's a lot more refined now. Got to actually try a little sample of it. And they had like these little plate with these little pre-wrapped kind of it was basically little squares that had infill designs. That was it. And it was probably maybe, I don't know, an eighth of an inch thick. And it was like maybe 1 inch by 1 inch square. And then some of them had like these crazy different infills, and that's all it was. So it looked really neat, but I'm like, oh, that's infill. And I grabbed it, and not really thinking about it, we walked around to other booths, and by the time I realized what I had in my hand, like, it had already melted in the damn cellophane thing. I'm like, oh yeah, it's chocolate. I can't just hold on to it. Like all these other things of swag people were handing out, like little buttons and stickers. So I had to go back and get another one. I ate it immediately, and it was delicious. You would never have known it was 3D printed. And then they had some other interesting things. They had 3D printers, several of them that had air assist instead of a fan at the exit point for the filament. I guess they're able to print faster because the stuff instantly solidifies.
It's probably more directed, right? Like more intentional.
Yeah. It was very strange. So it was very noisy in some of these 3D printing areas. So it's sort of like you got like a backwards kind of innovation going on. Like they went to get quieter and quieter, and now it's like this whole time. I'm like, that's weird. That's funny. They had a couple 3D printers that had multi-axis parts built into the extruder head, so it could tilt as it 3D printed, like eliminating the need for some support material in like a lot of instances. So it could rotate. It was like a rotary axis built onto where the head was. It was really strange, but it was cool. They were able to print some really cool looking wild stuff that didn't have.
I'm really curious about that process.
They said slicing it was interesting.
I bet.
The Enable the Future, the prosthetic stuff, they had a booth there. As I sent Sean and tagged him with some foot designs they had, and they're talking about some innovations that they had come out with. And then
is that the one that's open source?
Yeah, it's open source. You see a lot of people making different hands and stuff over the years. You know, where you like flex your wrist and it grasps. And they said they're starting to integrate more on the testing side. They're like building apparatuses and stuff to test like grip strength and everything, which you think they would have had already, but it's fine. Some other things they had. There was this one. I don't even know what you call it. It was almost like a mirrored print kind of thing. So instead of having one printer head on the Y or the X-axis moving left and right, they had two heads, and they would like mirror each other, and so you could like print the exact same thing at the same time on like one heated bed. And sometimes they would move inverse of each other, and sometimes they would move synchronized. It was really strange. So they're just sort of little innovations that they're trying to do.
What's the practical application of something like that? I guess
just
to get 2 for 1 out of the same amount of time. I don't know. Might as well just have another printer going, I guess. But maybe it's a smaller footprint.
I think it's you only need one processing board if it's kind of pantomiming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like, why mirror it? Why not just have synchronized?
I don't know. Some of them were synchronized.
I looked at your story and I was just like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Not practical.
Because they just like inverted the X coordinate for the other printer head, so it just like when the one was moving left, the other one moves right and stuff, but they were synchronized forward and back. It's weird.
But it has to be on separate belts, right?
No, it was on the same belt. So, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. They must have had two belts in
See
there.
if one is
Right.
yeah, you see what I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
though, right?
Yeah,
So you'd have to have two different systems. So it's like having two different printers in one,
yeah. It was
which
strange.
is why I was like that.
There,
Okay.
there was a fair number of belt printers. So like the ones that are like infinitely printing, so you print like really long things. And there was a guy that had the most interesting thing I saw there. To wrap it up real quick. Oh, I saw the 3D printing professor as another person I'd never met in person.
I remember he reached out to us at one point.
Yes, super cool dude though.
Wait, no. You guys have met him.
At Maker Faire,
I d-
like briefly.
Yes, at Maker Faire. I don't know if you would have remembered.
It was-
'cause it was kind of in passing.
Yeah, he said it was like super fast. He knew you more than I guess myself.
Mhm.
But he listens to the podcast and super cool guy though. Like in person, like I've talked to him here and there online, but I would say we had the most in common as far as other people I talked to there. It was kind of neat. Otherwise, I had another.
You want to talk about your extra cargo?
Oh yes. So there's a local 3D printing shop here in Raleigh that just opened, and they paid me to deliver down from Maryland to North Carolina, like I think it was 6 or 7 3D printers in the back of my Element. Like they gave me a little bit of notice before I left. I ripped one of my seats out of the back because you can do that in the Element, and we drove up there with mostly empty cargo space and drove back with I think 6 or 7 like Enders and some other random little printers and stuff because they want to sell them in their shop. I guess shipping containers are backlogged so much that it takes forever to get stuff they want, and it was made more financial sense apparently to pay me to haul them down across 2 state lines. I don't know.
I was wondering why you were slumming it with a bunch of Crealities.
Yeah, I know. I'm better than that. I agree.
I mean, you got a Taz, you got a Prusa, you have...
Yeah, I thought you bought those for you. I was like, dang, he's
Starting
got
a farm.
something in the works.
Right, mobile printing farm in the Element, man. Just drive around
Ooh.
people's houses, print some crap out. Quickly, the one thing I want to tell you guys to look up if you have a chance, if you're listening, if you're into 3D printers, there was a small belt printer called the Baby Belt that this guy printed, and he printed out all the components, and it uses a small conveyor belt that's made out of like fabric you would find at Joann Fabric, construction paper, and carpet tape. And he basically made the conveyor belt out of that, and it's like super taut, and it's like $100 or less in actual like purchased like materials to make one printer, and it's a small belt printer. And he had several of them that were themed. They had a Ninja Turtle theme one, so like the
Oh, is that what that was?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like green filament, kind of Ninja Turtle esque, and then he had the graphics on a like cloth, a cotton piece of fabric. And that was the material they're printing on. And so then they had a Super Mario Brothers themed one. So all the different parts were like yellow and blue and red, and it had Super Mario Brothers fabric. And I thought it was a really cool, simplified kind of concept and something more attainable for like a kid maybe to be able to like understand the mechanics of how it works and everything. So I definitely look him up. He's got a couple YouTube videos. He was featured. He showed up at MRF, which is the Midwestern Rep Rap Festival a couple months ago, and Caleb from Make Magazine did a little piece on Make's channel of his stuff. So check
Rob
him out.
Mink.
Rob
Is
Mink.
that his name?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because I had met him 3 years ago at the previous event that was held, the same location before COVID, and he had the other standout thing that I always like recall back to that event. He had a gigantic 3D printer that he made using like mostly like Lowe's components, like different bar like beams and like kind of like MakerPipe stuff before MakerPipe existed, and it was gigantic. I mean, it was like as big as like 2 tables worth, and then he had a tool changing apparatus, so he could quickly swap tool heads to go between different filaments like on the fly. And so he had like 6 or 7 like extruders like off to the side, and it had this key mechanism he designed that used like a wing nut to like align itself and like drop off the old print head and pick up another one, and so you can print different like support material in different material, different types of, something that's water soluble or different colors or what have you. And it was super cool. I hadn't seen anything like it then, and come to find out it was the same guy that had two things that stood out to me in two events in a row, which was kind of neat. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Lots of 3D printing. And I'm proud of myself. I only spent like $35 on myself on like random pieces of filament and like a new extruder. So there was like this grab bag kind of kiosk that had hundreds of different kinds of filament. They had ones that were like made from like scraps of coffee, like ground up, and they had like different properties. They had some that were like castable material. They had like antimicrobial properties. Some of them had like silver bits in them, and some had copper bits in order to have that capability if you needed that sort of thing. Lots of crazy things. So I'm thinking of a new YouTube short series where I test, like in a minute, I pull out a new kind of filament. I only got like a little sample kind of wraps or rolls of them, and have like a 1 minute short of here's a new filament. What can I make with it? You just like highlight the feature or the uniqueness of that one specific type of filament as like a short. That could be kind of cool.
Did you get inspired to come back home and do a bunch of 3D printing?
Maybe a little, but not as much as I hoped. For as many 3D printers as I saw up there, you think I would have seen more. And I did see a couple recycling ones where they took old soda bottles and did strip out the plastic and made new stuff. And then there was another printer that accepted pellets, like actually poured them into a hopper into the extruder itself. And you could also like have it funneled down from a bigger thing. People were just like taking handfuls and dropping these little pellets in, and it would just print from pellets, which was interesting.
That is pretty cool. I wonder if there's a better application of that. So instead of having a spool of filament, a big hopper might be more legitimate, maybe. I mean, because a lot of the plastic stuff is already processed that way, anyways, for injection molding.
Right, exactly. That's what I.
So I wonder if you cut out like an entire process out of the pipeline. It might be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd get on board as long as it had less clogs than filament does.
It's funny. I don't know if I've ever had a clog.
Really?
Maybe twice.
I have to take apart that thing almost on a daily basis.
Not like you've had. I mean, I've had. Well, the maker bots are a piece of crap, so maybe that's my experience with the clogging. They're stupid, smart extruder heads aren't that smart.
Are you trying to use like linguine noodles instead of filament? That might be a problem.
It's a leftover spaghetti.
That's where I went wrong. Is it an age thing where it's like, I'm so proud of myself, I didn't spend any money?
Basically, yeah. I mean, when I have a credit card and I see all these crazy things there, I feel like that was another, like you were saying, like alluding to the fact that I'm getting older. I only spent $35. I could have spent more. I don't know.
No, it's just funny because it's like my kids had book fair at school, and they come home and they're like, "Look what I got! Look what I got! Look at all these things that I got!" And Wes is like, "Look at how much I didn't get. This is the only thing that I got." Yeah, which I could kind of relate to. It's like, I didn't spend any money today. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also the kind of thing when you get older, that you come home, look at everything I already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's also another view. I've been pretty busy this week. Work was work. And because of the different schedule of getting out later, I've less time to do things when I get home. But I've been trying to put in at least an hour into building the bed frame. I have made a lot of progress on it. I'm almost halfway done. I need to start setting up the cutting the drawers, hopefully tomorrow, and maybe assemble this weekend, which is good because I have a laser video I have to have done by the end of next week. So this will be my 6th or 7th laser review, I think. I need to start selling or building special storage or doing something with them.
You don't have a print farm, you got a laser farm.
I do. Yeah.
Maybe
I
that could be a video
well, I wish
shelf.
I wish the electrical in my house could handle them all running at the same time. That'd be quite interesting. But I'd also be worried about the fumes that all 7 of those would be putting out because I only have an
Man.
enclosure for. I guess 3 of them are technically enclosed: the Glow 4s, the K40, and the X tool, but the others aren't.
Hmm.
I just do it all outside. Wait till the wind's blowing on one day and just let the neighbors worry about it.
Just put a rack on like those wheels that you can like push down and lock and then pull up and like wheel it outside, let everything run,
Yeah.
bring it back in.
Yeah, so that's what I got going on. How about you, Donovan?
So it's been a busy week. We're at SketchUp. They're doing like post-mortem of 3D Basecamp. So it's all these meetings talking about like what went well, what didn't go well, what could we do better next time, that kind of stuff. Um,
Kind of
so
weird
on
calling
that
it
end, it's
post mortem.
isn't that what they call them? Post-mortem, right?
Yeah.
I guess you can.
After the fact.
After
That's
death.
what they've been calling them. But the other day I realized that I don't have like a concrete idea of the videos that I want to do from now until the end of the year. And so like the projects that I had in the pipeline are kind of up in the air because I'm not sure like if I still want to do them or when I want to put them out. And so I was kind of scrambling to figure out, it's like, well, what do I want to do for a video? And I was looking around one of my external hard drives just to see if there was like, I was trying to look for pictures for something. And I came across a folder of footage that I thought I had lost. Because last year when I tattooed the Marauders map shoes, I immediately took them to Workbench Con because Workbench Con was right after I put that video out. And then the organizer of the event came up and she's like, I love those. Can you make a pair for my son? And I said yes. And so she sent me the shoes and I tattooed them. I filmed it and was going to make a video as a follow-up to the Marauders map shoes of doing Legend of Zelda tattooed shoes, and lost the footage, or I thought I lost the footage. I thought it was all gone, but I found a folder with all the footage that I thought I had lost. The problem was it wasn't as much footage as I thought it was. I could have sworn that I shot more, just more angles, more content, more. And so I pulled all the footage into Premiere and it ended up being like a minute, maybe a minute and 10, 15 seconds, something like that. It was not a lot. And so I'm like, I want to put a video out. So I want to make some content out of this. What do I need to do? And so I went back and I set up a little thing in my shop to get pickup shots for this video. And if you go back and you watch the video, you can probably tell what are the pickup shots and what are the original shots. But I went and I got pickup shots and I threw together this video of this project that's over a year old and put the video out this morning and did a little short. So it's out there in the world. I realized that it's like tattooing shoes is a fun process, even though I've only done it twice. And the last time I did it was over a year ago. But it's a really cool process. It's something that I would definitely want to do it again. But now that I've done it, I've had a couple people like Ethan Carter, who's like really big into leather, reach out because he's like looking at getting a tattoo machine so he can like, tattoo some of his laser projects. And I was like, so I'm inspiring people to go out and do this. This is pretty cool.
So now you just have to tattoo somebody's feet to go into the tattooed shoes.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think I would ever be brave enough to like tattoo someone. Like tattooing shoes, I could do that all day. Tattooing somebody, no, just But I'm really proud of the thrown togetherness of the project. The idea of tattooing shoes is really cool, and it's by its own. The premise is really cool. The video I think has I think like 170 views right now, so it is bombing. And so I went to my lumber supplier this afternoon and I bought some ash and I bought some walnut, and I'm going to scream into the ether that's like, okay, YouTube, I'm going to make another Lego Ninjago weapon. Are you happy? Because That's the only thing I can get traction on anymore. So I'm like, okay, my next couple projects till the end of the year may just be Lego Ninjago stuff, so I can like get momentum back into my channel because nothing else seems to be working. So be on the lookout for Blades of Deliverance coming soon. Man.
So we were talking about before the show about topics, and given some things that have happened over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I thought it might be interesting to talk about. I guess the phrase I used was dropping the ball. And there's a couple different ways to kind of approach it, and it kind of came up when I was thinking about over the last 4 or 5 months. Like I mentioned, I've been contacted by several different companies in different capacities. Some wanting to do deals with the podcast and ad spots. Also, people reaching out and trying to get me to do reviews on different products. And there's several of them that I went ahead and said, okay, I'll do it. And they respond and ask for all the information. So I give them the information, and then nothing. It's like radio silence, ghosted. And it's funny because my wife was thinking that they were just trying to gather my info, which I don't know, I guess could be the case, but I think there's better ways and easier ways of going about it.
It's a very roundabout way of
Yeah.
gathering some.
Let me offer you this free subscription box in order to get your name, address, and phone number. Like, that's kind of a weird marketing tactic, but just wondering, like, different scenarios over the last months that, and there's only like one side of it. I mean, the other side that I eventually want to that I want to bring up is like times I've dropped the ball, and just things that think it's interesting to talk about possible missed opportunities that way. Don't know if you guys have any recent examples that are worth mentioning that might be fun to discuss.
Plenty. Which road?
Either. I'm gonna kind of leave it open because I don't know. It was an idea. I didn't really have any expectation for the conversation in and of itself, other than just to have fun.
So, companies dropping the ball seems to be pretty regular when it comes to me. I've come to the conclusion that maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my face. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. But
We look like those guys.
Oh my gosh. The biggest thing lately was there was a laser company, just like, Sean reached out. And we talked about this before. Sent me that generic, we saw your YouTube channel. We love your content. Which anybody in this space has gotten a plethora of those, I'm sure. For one thing, like, we would love for you to use our power washer in your next video. I'm like, you obviously have not looked at my channel. And this particular one, they were like, we loved how to use a 3D printer. We would love for you to try out our laser cutter. And I'm like, oh, half of my projects are laser cutter, yeah. Anyways, and for the first time in, since starting this whole YouTube thing, I had a company that was working with me to make content together. I was super excited. I didn't have any like biases beforehand for or against this particular company. I've heard of them, but beyond that, I didn't have any opinions of them. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, let's work together. I talked to the head of distribution for the company. Like, he was really cool. He liked my content. I was like, all right, this could be the start of a beautiful relationship. And, signed the contract, got everything done. They sent me part of the machine, and then nothing. And I didn't hear nothing. And then I sent emails and still didn't hear nothing. And then I was like, okay, what's going on? So I DM'd their Instagram, and I was like, hey, are we not moving forward? And they're like, oh, email this other person. So I emailed this other person to find out that the original rep that I was talking to is no longer with the company. They've got a new management, and they have axed all current projects. But we would love to continue to work with you. Of course, that was like almost a month ago, and I still haven't heard anything. And so I was like, is it what is it? Like, is there something on my end that I'm doing? Because like Workbench Con, I go, and part of the whole thing of Workbench Con is going and talking with these companies and developing relationships, getting sponsors, creating content. Like there's a whole process to this. And I've done Workbench Con for four times now. But yeah, 4 times now. And like I've gotten yeses from companies saying, yes, we want to work with you. I've like done the email back and forth. I've sent plans. Like I've gotten to the point where like signing names on contracts, but there's always that point where it's like, okay, let's do this. And then just like Sean, ghosted. Like no explanation, no nothing, just silence. And so like Workbench Con is coming up in a couple months and we're going to go again. And I was trying to think, what kind of class would I like to go to at Workbench Con? And I was like, I want to go to a class where they talk about what to do when you're ghosted, or like how to keep from getting ghosted or something like that. Because all of these companies are going to be there and it's like, here's how to work with us. Well, that's great.
I think we should do something different. I think we should do a class, meaning a content creator, and have all of the business reps take the class and say, if you continue doing this crap, we're going to start blacklisting you within our community.
Yeah.
Because we talk.
Yeah. I've consigned myself to, yeah. I'm like, is it me? Is it my face? Like, do I have bad breath? What is happening?
I actually would like to talk to somebody that maybe has some a little bit more inside info on what is the actual process and business decisions made. I've heard other people talk like, oh, they're sending out a wide net and they're seeing who they catch, type of thing. And maybe you're just not the type of fish they were trying to catch. Which seems kind of dumb, because why even take it to the next step, asking for the person's info? Why even start having those conversations? In your one case, there was a change in some leadership, so I think that might be a little bit different. But I was contacted by a very, very, very prominent laser company as a result of my Glowforge video. And they were willing to do a deal with me, and I got really excited. And then nothing from them. And I contacted them again, and they responded like, oh, yeah, we're having somebody review this, and basically shining me on, but still replying to my emails, which was weird. And so I finally said, okay, I'm going to back off for a while. I might try again in a couple of months, maybe in the new year, and we'll see, because I do really want to work with the company, but it'll be my last effort to possibly try to do that.
Yeah.
That's only one example, but go to Wes.
I've recently also encountered this with a different laser company that you guys, I think, are even referring to. What I know it's different than Donovan's. I'm not sure about yours, Sean, but I went through the whole process, and they were quick enough to respond to like every email, leading up to the contract, where it's like, well, they're really engaged with me. Okay, and they're also, my particular one was a Chinese-based company, because I could just tell about like when the emails would be sent and when I sent them and when I got a response. Exactly. Which is perfectly fine. I've dealt with companies there before and had success. So I went through the whole process. They sent me the PDF. I went to the trouble of, getting the PDF, Adobe Acrobat, and putting my signature on there and all that stuff. Sent it. Nothing. I've sent like 2 emails here and there over the past couple weeks, and I've just kind of written them off at this point. But I will say that it is easy to write them off, and I just about had the same thought process for another company that I submitted something to in June. So in June, I applied to become a Glowforge designer. So the catalog that people, when someone logs into their Glowforge app on their website, the interface, there's a catalog, for those that aren't aware, where people can download basically artwork in different plans for different things. So you can if you want a certain kind of ornament, you type in, I want a walrus ornament. You type walrus in the search engine, it'll show all the walrus things or all the ornament things. And some of them are free. Other times they are they're a flat fee for a single use within the Glowforge ecosystem. They never leave their bubble, so you can never extract it or download it to use in another place. It's all within the Glowforge's ecosystem. But
Because the UI is completely online, right?
it's completely online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has like an Apple-y kind of app store feel to it, which some people like the seamlessness of not having to import, export, all that stuff. I get that from one perspective. Obviously, if I like tinkering with things and dabbling with stuff, I like to have, to know where my files are and all that. That's a different discussion for a different night. But yeah, you can either download. Let's say there's a plan for a little jewelry box or something like that. You can either download it once and cut the design one time, or there's a slightly increased fee for unlimited uses. So then you always have access to that file that you purchase within your ecosystem, within your library that you kind of accumulate projects. And so then you can make them a lot for like Salamate craft fairs. They have like jewelry and like home decor stuff and little signs and little gadgets, and they even have like a space shuttle model, which is actually pretty cool. It's completely laser cut. And generally the more complex the object is, or the more expensive they are. And some of the stuff in regards to how much like the creator gets paid is like a little bit of a black box. They say that they don't really divulge that information, which is kind of lame, but also in a way like they keep it so hidden so that other makers can't set your own price for your things, which prevents you for the pessimist, there's all kinds of reasons why you don't want them to do that. But the optimistic version is, if I make a jewelry box and Donovan submits a different plan for a different jewelry box that looks really similar, but his is half the cost of mine, there's a whole power dynamic there that they want to eliminate. So they sort of normalize all the projects, on their end, so you can't see all that stuff. And so I was like, oh, fine, let me just try it. Let me just apply. I have one design that I haven't uploaded anywhere yet, besides just pictures on Instagram, and it was a treasure chest. That you guys might have seen when you came out here. It was like a pirate treasure chest. It's all wooden. The clasps and the mechanics of it are all wooden. I've refined it enough where it's pretty seamless. I created a document, all that stuff. So I applied back at the end of June. Didn't hear anything. And 2 days ago, I got an email saying, "Congratulations, you've been accepted as a Glowforge designer." Like, what month is this? Like, okay, like I could not have expected to get a response by now. Like, that's beyond the realm of normality for me. But hey, I got approved. So now which is awesome, but it's sort of like a flip side to the discussion in that dropping the ball. Maybe the ball's still rolling down the hill to the lowly guy that picks it up and like trudges up the mountain with it at the speed of some of these companies. So you never know. I almost like just wrote it off and then posted it on my Patreon as like a Patreon exclusive. But I'm going to submit this treasure box, and if in the next couple months I'll report back and see how it's going. I signed up for their payment processor or whatever to get all that stuff squared away. So it'll be interesting. And also the process.
What you're saying is in a couple months you may be announcing your retirement?
Yeah, well, in a couple months, I'm not sure how the submission process for the individual projects are either, because they have to approve this stuff. So that could be like 6 months for all I know. So I'll have like this awesome like Christmas thing that won't be ready till next year because they're really slow. I don't know. So my hope to come up with something topical for October with Halloween coming, I don't think is going to be viable. But it's an interesting avenue. I'm going to look forward to explore. But,
that's cool. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
As far as some of the ghosting stuff that we were talking about before, I wonder if we could still be seeing supply chain issues. I've been hearing that that's still been an issue with some of the companies. In fact, Wesky just mentioned it right now with the 3D printers. Mm-hmm. So I think that might possibly be the case in some instances. Somebody had contacted me about sending me a bunch of tumblers to engrave and stuff for a video as well, and kind of promote their business, their supply business basically. And it was like 2 or 3 weeks and I didn't hear anything back, and they should have it's only 12 that they're sending me. It should have been a pretty quick shipment, but I don't know what happened. They responded. They said they were shipping them out. We'll see if I actually get them. So I don't know what's going on in some of these situations. Yeah, lots of ball dropping. There was a company.
Yeah, see, even if it is a supply chain issue, like the clear lack of communication.
The communication, I know, but then
Yeah.
they may not even want to divulge that they're having supply chain issues. They might think it's lose faith in the company or like think less of them. I don't know. I might be projecting a little bit, but there's a company that contacted us as the podcast and wanted to do a deal with us. I forget which one it was, but it was one of the shave razor
Manscaped.
club, Manscaped. And I don't know if they just saw Donovan and saw it was like a lost cause or what, but they were excited about it. They had me send all the info and then nothing. I was looking forward to that because hey, why not? I mean, it's something that seemed relevant to a lot of our audience, at least enough of our audience to possibly be worthwhile. Like I don't mind getting some free razors out of it either. But.
So, for this podcast, like before I came on, wasn't Qualo the rings
No,
a
it was
sponsor at one time?
Rhino Ring.
Rhino Rings, okay, but it was one of the silicone ring companies, right?
Yeah, they were just kind of getting off the ground and getting started. I think that there were a couple rings bought through our product placement, but not a whole lot.
Yeah,
I still have mine and wear them from time to time.
So in terms of like personally dropping the ball, I have a project sitting in my garage right now that I was supposed to do last year. And I feel so bad about it because it's like, oh, I am doing not exactly what those companies did. But so several months ago, I started on a collaboration project with Brett McAfee, the blacksmith, pirate blacksmith, to do the God of War cabinet. And he's like, yes, let's do it. He got all excited. I got all excited. We got it designed out. Supply chain issues. I couldn't get Cherry for the project. And so I was waiting on availability of Cherry. But he's like, all right. And so in a weekend, he like braided metal for all of the metallic decorative pieces for this project and mailed it to me. And that box sat in my garage 4 months. Like I would talk to him and be like, I still can't get a hold of Cherry. Like I was communicating with them, but I wasn't being proactive on getting this done because I'm like, it just became this source of frustration. It was like a pain point. Cause I was like, oh man, he did all this amazing work and like the accent pieces look absolutely amazing. And I'm like, nothing I could do is going to do this stuff justice. And so like, I started to get that self-doubt. It's like, do I keep doing like, yeah, I need to keep doing this. And so, like a few weeks ago, I finally opened the box, got everything out, looked at it, stabbed myself in the hand because he made part of the things like super sharp. And finally got the Cherry. And so now I'm like, hey, we're finally doing this. He's like, oh, I thought you died. And I was like, oh. So maybe saying it out loud, like maybe I can understand what those companies are going through, maybe. But I totally dropped the ball on Brett. And Brett is the best pirate. And I feel so bad for like letting him down. And I'm hoping that the end of this project is going to make him proud of the work that he put into doing this. Although I know he'll never want to collaborate with me again, but I hope he'll at least be proud of the one collaboration that we did together.
Wes, does that remind you of a certain project that you had with a certain someone years ago? I'll say it if you won't.
Yeah. I was thinking about that project last night. I was
looking forward to it.
I was getting miffed last night just remembering that actually. Yeah.
Were you miffed at Earth or?
No, Murph and Miffin. No, yeah.
Or Murph, yeah. Got miffed at Murph.
I was so looking forward to seeing that thing done.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I know who you're talking about.
Does he still have it and can send it to you? You could just make a mold and make the reverse side.
he has the electronics of everything that I built sitting in the box somewhere. I built all the electronics and mailed it to him to integrate into it, and
Yeah, but he still has the sword, right? Because the carving he did was gorgeous.
yeah. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what we're talking about,
Might as well
yeah,
say it.
we're referring to Bobby Duke. There was a project that he and I were supposed to work together on, and I'm still waiting on some stuff from him from it. He's a little
4
bit,
years?
he's a little bit busy
3
though.
years?
I mean, he's got a lot of subscribers to talk to on an individual.
I mean, he just did
basis,
a video with Mr. Beast, but
right. I mean,
I applied to be his editor.
Bobby Duke.
Yeah.
Dang.
He put out a
cool.
call for a video editor, and I applied. If I hear something back,
and you didn't get it.
Well, no. I don't
never
know.
heard
He
anything.
probably got a
Look, I'm going to say this right
entries,
now.
but
I'll be more than happy to ride either one of your coattails up into stardom for whatever connections you make.
Come on.
I have no shame in doing that.
But if he ever gets back to me, I'll ask him. I'll ask him. Be like, hey.
Oh, you'll give him so much stress and anxiety probably by bringing
No,
it up.
I know. Well, because him and I actually used to talk on Instagram a couple years ago. Like we met once, and we used to not regularly, but like occasionally, like we would talk back and forth. He'd make a comment on one of my posts, or I would ask him a question about carving because I was doing all the Ninjago stuff, and had questions about carving different materials and woods, and is this species better than that species and stuff like that. And there was one time that I did bring up. I was like, "Hey, wasn't there a collaboration you were doing with Wes?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about that."
Yeah. The funny thing is that I've actually got the digital files for his half that he carved. So I could go all pirate and actually like 3D print or CNC a duplicate of the stuff that he never like. So basically, he carved
Just
one
rip
side.
off.
Yeah, basically rip
the
off.
bird.
He did one half of it was the I think it's called Frostmourne. I think it's a sword from World of Warcraft, and he carved one side of it where just above where you hold it, and it's got like a skull. It's really elaborate, and it took him so long to do the one side, he didn't want to. He got kind of burned out, honestly, to do the other side, which I get. I'm like, hey, it's perfect. If you take a ton of pictures, this is before apps would do this for you. I had him take like 100 some pictures from different angles, and I use a photogrammetry software on my computer to generate the 3D model of it. And so then I could CNC a rough version, or even a fine version, honestly, based on how good the data is, of the opposite side. And then, hey, here's the other side done in a different way. It's complementary, literally, to your original piece. And I think even like recorded some video, like of a Skype call that we did, in order to like include the call in the video, sort of for like a collaboration part. I did the electronics for it. It has Arduino, like lights up. He was gonna make the hilt of the blade of it semi-transparent, so you would see the glowingness of it. It was pretty cool. I don't know where the stuff is now. I think he moved at least a couple times since that point, so I don't know. It might have been lost. It's kind of it's not really a sore subject necessarily, but like I've brought up to him just kind of in a joking manner in the past, and it's just what it is. He's got his own things, and I got my own things, and maybe I'll go rogue and just make it anyways. But then I have to buy all the hardware and I have to reprogram it again because I don't have the code anymore for the lighting system. So that's what's keeping me from doing it. Is honestly I'm just lazy to recreate.
Yeah,
it.
and in World of Warcraft, and that sword is so current right now. It's just gonna raise up the charts for
exactly
for content.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
it's not as like cutting edge as like making a hammer out of a nail or whatever stuff he carves.
Turn this.
Making a hammer out of a nail. I got to get on that Adirondack chair idea before the series ends.
You do.
Got to stay current. Got to feed the algorithm.
Or you could just make another Borderlands
Cow.
themed non sequitur type item.
You know what? I love those videos.
I do too.
They
I'm glad. I'm not saying you shouldn't either. I mean, it's
No.
but YouTube has to like them.
No, I know. It's so like one of these days I will throw a dart and hit like the perfect audience for my content.
You should do
And
Borderlands
people will
Ninjago.
find me. What?
Borderlands Ninjago.
Yes.
You'll
No,
force the
somebody had the
crossover.
idea of like, hey, you should do like lightsaber hilts because I did the Borderlands hilts. They're like, hey, you should do
Different.
lightsaber hilts in different
Yeah.
like in different styles. I'm like,
I think you should.
that's
do
actually not a bad
that. I think
idea.
you should do that.
I was like, that would be something cool. Like if we wanted, if the three of us wanted to do like a, hey, we'll work on a project together without working on a project together.
I like it.
I was like, we could do 3 different styles of lightsaber hilts
That'd be
because
cool.
it's applicable.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Adventure Time lightsaber hilt would be super cool, or whatever. Lord of the Rings, because Rings of Power is super applicable right now. Whatever it is, it would be fun to do with you guys if you
Do a
guys.
She-Hulk one. I don't know what that would entail, but it would probably be disappointing.
It would also probably be very inappropriate.
It's true. It's true. It would.
Based on some stuff they've talked about in the show. Mean and green.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd be like
Yeah,
it'd be
I'm
like a
just,
Saints Row reference, more so than anything.
Gosh, I
That's
haven't
kind of
played
what I
the
was
game and I
thinking.
know that reference.
It's horrible.
On that note,
Yeah. On that note, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/makinggeeks. I don't have a really good segue that is appropriate to use there, but they understand what I'm saying. Including our top patrons. They really get me. Jordan, Nolan, C3D Prop Shop, and Square Splinter. Including all our patrons. You guys are awesome. We enjoy all your comments and suggestions and life advice that you give on our Discord server. We appreciate you.
I love our Discord server.
It's a lot of fun.
It is so great. So like the Stay at Home Dad Geeks edition on the Facebook used to be like my place of refuge on social media where I can just be like, oh, these are my people. Our Discord server has replaced the Stay at Home Dads for me because I'm like, yeah, good times. I'm still
think
waiting
I've
for
been-
somebody to knock Jordan out of that pedestal though.
I think I've probably been a little bit more of a lurker on the Discord server, but I still read through all the stuff and kind of see what's going on. What are you guys geeking out about?
Well, let's see. I did watch the season finale of She-Hulk. It's definitely worth talking about. It was unexpected. It was expected and unexpected at the same time, and I had fun with it. I thought it was cool. The other thing is, let's see. I recently got tasked with making T-shirts for a fundraiser walk this weekend for a friend of mine, and I used my Silhouette Cameo to do it, which I have. It's probably my most underutilized tool that I have. That's the closest to me. I could reach out and touch it from where I sit every day, but I've only used it a handful of times, and I've never used it for like vinyl T-shirts or anything remotely in that field. And I must say I'm pretty impressed. I don't know if it's the vinyl that I purchased from Amazon, but we got the design laid out in Illustrator, got transferred over there. It cut out perfectly. I didn't horizontally mirror it like the instructions told me to do, which is always the step that is most often forgotten when doing a lot of laser and stenciling kind of things. Sometimes you have to reverse it, sometimes you don't. Besides that, we got the design figured out. We laid it on the shirt, and I've had other vinyl kind of shirts before, and they kind of have like this cheap kind of feel to them. Either like they're extra glossy, kind of shiny feel, or they're like really proud, like on the surface, and you can kind of feel they're stuck on there. It is pretty dang good. You would be, they almost look like screen printed, and they feel really nice. So I might start 3D printing. Excuse me. I've been thinking about 3D printing too much. I might start vinyling some of my own custom shirts or something like on a per order basis because it was really nice and really easy to do. So
Do you have a heat press, or do you just use an
we
iron?
just used an iron. Yeah, it's not as fast as a heat press, and they seem to be not terribly expensive if I really wanted to get into this online. But I was very,
It's super fun.
yeah, I was very impressed with it. I'm gonna like, man, this is like a whole opportunity, or just another avenue of tinkering with stuff I haven't really explored, like fabricy stuff. So I was geeking out about that.
I was thinking about buying my wife one of those. Maybe I will for the holidays or something.
The press or the vinyl cutter,
Uh,
both.
the silhouette, the
Yeah,
silhouette.
it's nice. I got a hand me down Cameo 3, I think, and it
Mhm.
hasn't had any issues.
My parents had a sign business while I was growing up,
Hmm.
and they did like custom hats and shirts and signs and all kinds of stuff. The hours that I spent weeding, I
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't even be able to begin to calculate the hours I spent weeding and the smell. Like I still like can remember the smell of the heat press and all the, oh my gosh, yeah. It's probably a different smell nowadays because it's different materials and, chemicals and whatnot, but that would bring back memories. So there's a YouTube channel that I stumbled across called Skill Tree. Uh, and it's pretty fantastic. It's one guy that is does what I do. He picks a geeky project, not knowing what he's doing, and does it anyway. That's his whole mantra. He's like, we make things even though we don't know what we're doing. I was like, I can get behind that. And so I watched a couple of his videos. He did one leather stamping the Lord of the Rings map. And he went through the process of like leather stamping and engraving it and dyeing it. He didn't tattoo any of it, which I was like, hey, there's a missed opportunity right there. But he did all of the other, standard stuff. And so I commented and then I reached out to him, and him and I have been talking about possibly collaborating on a project, which would be fun if I don't drop the ball. Trying to bring that topic around full circle. And so I've been geeking out about his content. He's really fun. He's got a good on-screen presence, a lot of dad jokes. It's good. It's good stuff. Skill tree.
I'm geeking out about something I just finished watching on Amazon. I've been really into watching racing lately, but mainly one racing team called Hoonigan Racing, and they do a lot of these really interesting like public display stunts in cars, and they've done a series of them called they call them Gymkhana, Gymkhana, and there's a documentary on Amazon about their production of Gymkhana 10, which is 5 different locations around the world, 5 different cars, and just doing all of these really insane driving stunts with the main driver. And I've been really into that
Is it the
lately.
one where they like drive 100 miles an hour over like uneven terrain that you see all the videos and stuff of people like standing by the road and the car goes, "Meow."
Well, I think that's like rally racing where you see it that sometimes.
Okay,
Uh,
so it's not
the
the same kind of thing.
I mean, it's the same world, but the one series that I'm talking about are a little bit more orchestrated,
Mhm.
where they'll shut down parts of the city like kind of like a little bit at a time and actually do the stunts, then move on to the next location. So it isn't one full race. It's a series of stunts that are strung together with video editing and made to look really cool. And I highly recommend checking it out if you like motors, loud noises, and just like really cool cinematography of precision driving. It's the Gymkhana Files on Amazon. You can also watch a lot of the actual finished productions online. Just type in Hoonigan Racing and you'll see all the stuff come up. Some pretty amazing things, amazing machines. Their most famous car is called the Hoonicorn, which is a 1965 heavily modified Mustang. It's like a value like 1.1 million with everything that's done to it. So it's fun stuff. You like things going fast. That
Cool.
is what I'm
Speaking
thinking
of
about.
going fast, We put out content all the time, so if you don't want to miss it, follow us on YouTube, which has handles now. You can add us just like you can add us on Instagram or Twitter or other platforms. So if you want to add us, you can at Sean at Geek Builders. If you want to at Wes, you can at him at Geeksmithing. And if you want to at me, you can at me at Once Upon a Workbench.
And if you don't want to at us, you can also check out our website, makinggeeks.com. We have all of our past episodes right there on the homepage for the site, so you can listen to all of those episodes in your favorite browser of choice. We also have a shop with some Making Geeks themed merchandise for you to pick up and enjoy. And if you'd like to be part of the live show, we record every Thursday evening, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific. And you can join in and be part of the live chat. We always have a pretty good group of people that are commenting and kind of adding to the show as we record live on Thursdays, and that's on YouTube. You can find new episodes of the podcast every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player of choice. So from all of us, all of you, have a great week.
See you guys.
See you next time.